Hi, guys. Welcome to another edition of Her Story in the Making. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Britt Flinn. And as you know, this show's a little bit different from everything else that we do on this network. Yes, we do talk sports. Yes, we do talk about football, baseball, betting. But the main focus of this show is to highlight the amazing women in this space who are creating football content, who are broadcasters, who are editors, everybody in this space who is a woman who needs to be highlighted. And tonight I have a very special guest, a multimedia sports reporter, Thai Floyd. She has done, she's a part of Sports Illustrated HBCU Legends. She's been a sideline reporter for ESPNU and ESPN Plus, and she is a writer for SWAC. So with that, let's welcome in Thai. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so happy to have you. And we were talking about this before we went live, but that green and orange is just immaculate on you. It's
Thank,
amazing. And
thank you.
I can you tell everybody who may not know what it is and what it represents?
Yes, so this is Florida A&M University. It is an HBCU that's in Tallahassee, Florida. I graduated there with my bachelor's of science in 2019 in broadcast journalism. My concentration was in sports. I rep Florida A&M all day, every day, but it was not my first choice of college. I wanted to go to North Carolina Central. I lived in North Carolina when I was a little girl, and I made a beautiful list. I think this story is so funny. I made this whole list, yes or no columns, and all the colleges I wanted to apply to. And I put North Carolina Central, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, anything that wasn't in Florida at the top, little hearts and stickers. And then at the bottom, I had Florida A&M and Florida State. Mom went to Florida A&M, Dad went to Florida State. I got a no in all the boxes except Florida A&M and Florida State. And then it was a no-brainer for me to go to Florida A&M University. But I'm glad that I went there, and Father knows best for sure.
I'm glad that you went there as well because the way that your career has just blossomed and all of the content that you've put out there. And I'm going to say, I love the pinned tweet on your profile with the aspirational note in your journal. If you guys don't follow Ty, it's at Ty A. Floyd on Twitter. Her pinned tweet is a side by side photo of an aspirational note in her journal saying that she's going to report for ESPN. And then the next photo is her on the sidelines reporting. And so I think that that list of that you made it for colleges is very it just fits with what I've gathered from your personality. So that's really cool. But you mentioned your dad and that he went to FSU. And for those who don't know, your dad was on the championship football team with FSU, went on to play for the 49ers. You said that you learned to run routes with your brothers and your dad, and you obviously know the sport, but there's still a mentality that exists out there that women shouldn't be reporting, that they have no place there. So I'm just going to jump right into the hard stuff. How do you deal with and overcome these obstacles that still exist in sports journalism?
I like to say that I'm most like my dad, and I have that head buster mentality because that's just what I have. I mean, you can sit here and tell me no. You can tell me I can't do something. You can tell me I'm not good enough. I mean, but I'm going to show you with actions because I can back it up. So for me personally, I put a value on the things that certain people say to me. If you're just some Joe Schmo off the street, if you're somebody I don't know, I don't care. My biggest critic is myself, and my second biggest critic lives in the house with me. I mean, you mentioned ESPN, but my dad was like, Ali, that's my middle name, Ali. He's like, Ali, you did a great job, but I give it like a B minus. I gotta keep you humble. And it's just jokes, it's all love. I know he's so proud, but that's the person that I collaborate a lot with, especially since our careers have been so similar. I mean, obviously I wasn't an athlete, but as far as broadcasting goes, we're in the same field. And so he's definitely prepared me for a lot of the things that he's seen and a lot of the things that he knows I will see. So I really am unfazed by it, and my upbringing has prepared me so well for that too.
That's so amazing to hear. Both how supportive he is, but also the dad jabs, you know what I'm saying? Like, "Well, just with that little elbow." I love to hear that so much. We've got a few people here in the chat. We've got Mr. Scampers. So good to see you. You are so loyal to all of our streams, and we're happy to have you here. And then we also have the lovely Angie Hatfield. Great to see you, Angie. She
Oh,
also
thank you.
loves the shirt. Guys, if y'all are in the chat and have any questions for Ty, please put them in there. We'll get them answered as we can. But I'm going to go ahead and move on. Sports have obviously been a huge part of your life. You grew up in a family of athletes. Was sports journalism always something that you wanted to do, or did you kind of gravitate towards it once you started at FAMU?
So I was a basketball player pretty much my whole life. Really, I think from like middle school all the way to my senior year of high school. And there were chances for me to continue collegiate play, but I don't think I really was like the player, like I played because I felt like I was obligated to, because when you come from a sports family, it's like, well, I mean, what the hell are you going to do? Are you going to do something sporty, or are you going to like, what are you going to do? In my mind, I was going to be a cheerleader. But once I hit that growth spurt, my mom was like, yeah, no, we're going to put you in sports, see how see how you do. So, I played basketball my whole life. Nearing my senior year, I knew I didn't want to play in college. I wanted to have a normal experience. And I was kind of in between sports medicine or sports journalism. I was enrolled in TV production at my high school. Shout out to Mr. Blazik, the first person that ever believed in me. Love you. And I was also enrolled in like anatomy class. And I mean, that really weeded me out really early on. Real early on, that weeded me out. So yeah, sports journalism was definitely something I wanted to do, and then to have someone again like Mr. Blazik to just nurture the dream. I mean, sending me to games with cameras, letting me be the sports anchor on our, Wow TV, even in the times where I was talking about myself, all of that kind of stuff. I knew that that's what was meant for me. Taking my passion for sports, my innate ability to connect with people, my knowledge of the game, and combining all those things, and now I'm here. So I think I made the right choice.
Well, I can definitely say that your work speaks for itself as much as I would have loved to seen you play basketball. I love reading your work and seeing you out there on the sidelines. But we've already touched on you attended college at FAMU, and you've since done a lot of work to highlight HBCUs. And we touched on this a little bit um, off camera before we got started, but how did that become a passion of yours? And just what are some of the things that you've done to highlight them? Because you have such an interesting story that we don't hear about a lot of the time.
Yeah, so when I was in school during my matriculation, the easiest access you had was to these athletes. I mean, to get on the sidelines and to just do real work. Going to Florida A&M, our program at the School of Journalism and Graphic Communication has produced some heavy hitters. I mean, you got Pam Oliver, the GOAT, Tiffany Green, you have Rashawn Ali, you have Maya Ellison. She's young, she just graduated, but you have women like Maya Ellison, Hannah Kirby, who is still in school, but she's amazing. So many women. I mean, not even just in sports. You have Denise Hendricks and Kathy Times. You have Donovan Long, Emmy Award winners. So I mean, going to Florida A&M, being on that campus, having the immersive program that you have, being able to implement your own ideas. I knew I wanted to do sports, and I knew it started at home. But as I started to really go around the campus to get to know these men and women, and knowing that some of them are parents, some of them aren't even from the United States, some of them are practicing Ramadan in the midst of doing their sport, some of them are married, some of them have children, some of them, I mean, have talent. Some of them have overcome disabilities. So many great things that people aren't really knocking down the door to tell. And it's kind of disheartening. And so I wanted to do everything in my power to make sure that I was bringing awareness to these amazing stories well before they hit the National Football League or the NBA or wherever they're at. So, um, started implementing, different things around campus, different shows that I would do, especially into my senior year. And then when I left, I just wanted to make sure that we were on the map, that people were talking about us. And going into like when I really started in 2021, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just Jackson State centric, because at that time, Coach Deion Sanders had just got to the Southwest Athletic Conference. I wanted to make sure everybody was getting their fair share of shine, and that includes Mississippi Valley, UAPB, Alcorn, Grambling, schools, everybody. So that's where I just really wanted to make sure I did my thing. Now it's all about, using my platform, connections I have, people I know, people that watch me, to make sure that they know who a guy like Jablonski Green is, a guy like Davius Richard is, a guy like Jeremy Moose is, and all the other young men and women who play in different sports as well.
And that is so important because we don't hear enough about HBCU athletes, and we've seen it in the NFL. We don't typically see them get drafted. Even over the past, 4 or 5 years, there haven't even been 10 drafted out of HBCUs. And these athletes are so talented and deserve such a bigger spotlight on them that they're not getting, that we need people out there reporting and putting them to the forefront and saying, hey guys, look over here. Like, these people are awesome. And so the work that you've done is just incredible. And I think that that's how you probably ended up as part of Sports Illustrated HBCU's legend staff, right?
Yeah.
You've written so many great articles about college football. So how did you get involved with Sports Illustrated, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so I reached out to Kyle T. Mosley. He's amazing. He is the editor in chief over at HBCU Legends. He's the one who really just holds the whole platform down. And I told him, I want to work. I want to get better at my writing. I've always been kind of not afraid to write, but I know, let's just say I know what my strengths are. So I was just like, I want to get better at my writing. And I think that as journalists, as reporters, we all have something that we feel like we can continue to hone in on. And that was it for me. I knew that I definitely needed to keep going, needed to keep writing. And I reached out to him. He took a chance on me. He said yes. And he's just been nothing but an encouragement to me. I call him my uncle, because he's just so great. Definitely nurtured the career. When I joined the staff over at HBCU Legends, I also was in a transition period from leaving the SWAC to trying to figure out what I was doing. Was brought on with HBCU Legends as well as ESPN's Anscape, and that was just super amazing. Get to travel all over, do things for them, and that has been such a honestly a highlight of my career. And just the love that I receive from HBCU fans, alumni, players, staff, has just been really, really amazing. So I'm grateful.
Well, I can say this again. It's well deserved. I absolutely just love your content. And one last thing before we move on to SWAC, because I do want to touch on that, because that's where the big break happened, right?
Yeah.
Um, but what plans do you have in the future, for highlighting HBCUs and bringing awareness to them?
Yeah, I want to make sure that I do my due diligence and also go over to women's sports, Olympic sports. I want to make sure that I do my best to cover everything. I'm just one person, so it's a little difficult, but I definitely want to make sure I show some love to the ladies. The ladies are super, super supportive of me. Always have been. And we talk about the SWAC, but just some of the coaches that I've been able to meet in women's basketball have been so supportive of me, have shown me so much love, and I'm so grateful for them. Am I frozen?
No, you look good to me.
Okay, cool.
I
Well,
think
I'm
you're
frozen
fine.
on my side, but it's been around on yours. That's great. But yeah, they've shown me so much love and so much support. So I just want to make sure that that I pay that back to them and their teams. And so women's sports would definitely be it for me. And then also Olympic sports like golf. I got to do some stuff with the PGA Tour this summer. So I did the PGA Collegiate Championships up in Birmingham, Alabama. Got to meet some terrific student athletes from HBCUs that golf. So I want to, do stuff like that.
That's so incredible. But we mentioned SWAC. Let's
Yeah.
get to the nuts and bolts of it, right? So you interned for SWAC and you jumped into sideline reporting when ESPN came calling. What was that experience like? Were you expecting it? Were you prepared? And how did you grow into it naturally?
Of course. So, whew, this was my first in-person event since the 2020 Pro Bowl, right before the world shut down. To briefly talk about how I got involved with the SWAC, one of my best friends from college, my two best friends, they're married. Their son is my godson. I was going to visit them in Birmingham, Alabama, where Alabama A&M is, and I just so happened to like look at the SWAC's website, and I was like, I think I can contribute. So I just emailed the Associate Commissioner of Media Relations, Andrew Roberts. Shout out to Andrew Roberts. But I emailed him and I was like, hey, Andrew, I would love to join. Here's who I am. Here's what I do. Was brought on with the SWAC. So here we are months later, now going to Birmingham, Alabama for the SWAC basketball tournament. I created so many different social media rollouts, social media concepts, and was like, okay, this is what I have to do. Get there, I land, somebody comes and gets me. We go to the state or the arena, excuse me. So football minded right now, but we go to the arena. I'm walking around the arena and trying to survey what I'm doing. Run into my boss. He's like, hey, I got something to tell you or ask you actually. And I wanted to wait till we were in person to do it. I was like, sure. He's like, yeah, so who we had to do sideline reporting didn't show up or didn't come, couldn't come. There was a conflict. Do you want to do it? I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, you got it? I'm like, yeah, I got it. I mean, like, what are you even saying right now? Yeah, of course. I gotta go use the restroom. I go to the restroom and I'm like, like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. What the world? Oh my God. I'm like freaking out. Oh my gosh. Ugh, it was crazy. So I'm like texting my family. I'm like, yo, this is insane. Um, I was a little nervous. I mean, it was my first time, but like when I tell you I was born for this, I was made for this. I mean, I'm so dead serious. This is just the beginning of what like my career is going to be. And I mean, like it was like I walked out there, did my first live. He was a little nervous. He told me, the producer Brian Duvall told me in my ear, he was like, "Hey Ty, liven it up. Let's go. You got this." Boom. The next after that, hit the ground running. I had one mistake that I would count as a mistake, but I mean, other than that, I really killed it. And so I was super excited for that opportunity. And message to anybody who is chasing a dream, man, stay ready so you don't got to get ready because the opportunity can come knocking. Sometimes they don't come twice. If I didn't kill it out there that first time, who's to say I would have gotten the other opportunities that I've gotten and now have over 20 under my belt? You know what I'm saying? So just make sure that you're ready and, just do you. Have fun.
You are giving me chills right now for multiple reasons. Because one, I absolutely agree that you are born for this. Um, you're incredibly well spoken, just on top of everything. And then two, I try to take away something from my guests in every single interview. What you just said, take that opportunity because it doesn't come knocking twice. Be ready. Don't spend time
Yeah.
getting, you know what I mean? That is such an important piece of advice for everybody out there to know and to take, because you're absolutely right. We never know what's happening tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Sometimes it just knocks on your door and you have to go with it. But you did mention COVID, and that was a big thing in college sports, especially because college sports didn't necessarily have protocols in place to continue these sporting events. I remember it was the first game of the SEC tournament when everything got shut down. Arkansas had just played Vanderbilt, and everybody left the stadium. The entire thing was shut down, and all of college sports was just done. And so that was mainly what you were focusing on at the time. How did that affect your trajectory? And what did you do to combat that and make the most out of a really weird time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just graduated in December. March is when COVID hit. And I remember like me and my parents, we were out of town for something, and I remember like just saying, guys, I'm so scared, like the COVID is growing rapidly. And then literally 2 weeks later, I mean, we were shut down. Had interviews with different teams. I don't want to name them, but just different teams in the NFL that were interested in me and bringing me on in some capacity. And when COVID hit, they were like, we're not going to have anybody for this position right now. We didn't know the virus or the implications of it at that time. And so I was at home. I was at home chilling. I was at home trying to figure out what I was gonna do. And I mean, I kept myself going. I would do different like interviews, kind of like how you're doing with me right now. I do interviews like that. It's so funny. I talk about this all the time. But I used to do the interviews in my bathroom because the lighting was so great. And then I had like it was so random. Like I could only imagine like people come to use our guest bathroom and it's just like bathroom, and then one space on the wall has all these like pictures and CD album covers, trying to make it look like a cool backdrop. I'm just doing interviews with different players that I knew and had connections with, and friends that were just so awesome and supportive of my career to keep me going at that time. And then things opened up. I was applying for more things, didn't really get it, still dealing with COVID's implications, and was kind of at a point where I was like, is this for me anymore? Like, what do I do? I mean, I'm going to go become a flight attendant somewhere and get my passport stamps up and not worry about Orlando, Florida or sports reporting or anything. But I just remember like really just holding on and sticking with it. And, things will come along in your life that may affect your growth, may affect your speed, but nothing can affect destiny and what's meant for you. And I just know that I'm like meant for such cool, awesome things because I visualize them all the time. I'm around them. I'm around people who have done the things that I want to do. And so it just lights this fire within me. And going to FAMU is so fitting because on campus we have this thing, the statue is called the Eternal Flame. It's fire that never goes out. I've seen hurricanes come across campus, like rainstorms, like anything come across campus, but that eternal flame never goes out. And so it's kind of symbolic. Like I feel like I got one of those statues in me somewhere. But that COVID affected something, but it affected it. Might have slowed it, but it didn't stop it. Nah, never.
No, not at all. Because then in 2020, you were at the Pro Bowl
Yeah, man.
at the end of it, interviewing Dalvin Cook and, on the sidelines with the big name NFL players. I mean, it might have slowed you down for a second, but it damn sure didn't stop you. So,
Know what I'm saying?
um, what was that? I mean, was covering football from a sideline reporting aspect different than basketball, or was it kind of just two sides of the same coin? Where did you have to cover it differently, or were you just ready for everything? Because I'm so impressed by you.
Yeah, I think I was ready for everything, but I will say, I mean, I think it's different just from like an element standpoint. With the arena, it's I don't want to say quieter. It's actually kind of loud, especially with HBCU culture. You have the band inside the arena, and I mean it's a tight space, so the sound ain't traveling out necessarily. But I mean, just like from an element standpoint, it's different. It's obviously like hotter. I covered games this past season for Anscape. I wasn't doing sideline reporting, but I was doing a lot of social content. The bowl is hot AF. I mean, it's yeah, it's a lot. But I think in the arena, it's a tad bit easier for me. Just going back and forth between benches, listening to timeouts, getting pertinent information from like trainers if they're willing to share it, or other, prominent figures of each team. It's a little bit different. Football fields is obviously larger. The elements are crazy. Could be cold in the first, I mean, hot in the first quarter, extremely cold in the fourth. It can rain. You can have lightning delays. But I mean, all in all, it's super fun. The Pro Bowl, which I would say is like my only football event that I really did cover from like a reporting standpoint, rained. I mean, I got my interview with Dalvin. I got my interview with Michael Vick. Oh my God. And then I got my interview with Lamar Jackson first. But right after, I mean like literally right after we were done with that, me and dad were like hightailing it to the car because it was raining. But yeah, I think it's the same, but I mean, there's certain differences, not too many though.
It is always different when you throw the elements in there, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like, the Dolphin Stadium, right? Depending on which sideline you're on, you can be boiling or you can be freezing
Oh
in the
yeah.
same stadium. And you are absolutely right. Being in the bowl is loud, and that kind of breaks your
Loud.
concentration.
It's hot, and I mean, like Florida A&M, for example, we have turf, so like your feet are on fire too, depending on what type of shoes you got on and how thick your soles are. Your feet will literally be burning, and your soles, if your shoes are cheap, will be melting into the
Oh my gosh.
turf.
And this is the kind of dedication that this woman puts in her craft, you guys. We do not give
I
her
love it.
enough credit.
I love it.
Or
I'm gonna get some like the little foldable, collapsible rain jackets that you get off of Amazon. My dad came in clutch. He had one for me. I went to go cover Bethune in South Carolina State, and it started to rain. All I had to do was just like pull it out, unzip it, pull it out the little bag, shake it, and then it was a full raincoat.
the little things that you learn with every single experience is so incredibly amazing. Um, and so we touched on this just very, very briefly in your introduction, but GALvanize has been a big part of your journey. It's Laura Oakman's organization who has been with Fox Sports for over 2 decades. How did you get involved with GALvanize?
Whew. I don't even know how it happened. It just kind of showed up on my social media page, my Twitter page. And so I read what it was about, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to be a part of this. I need to try." And at the time, I want to say maybe it was like early 2021, so she was about to start taking in rookies for her camps, and so I just really made sure that I was interacting with some of the girls, interacting with Laura, and I mean, got in, got to do Jacksonville camp 2021. My player was Trevor Lawrence, so I got to meet him, talk to him. That was pretty cool, and ever since it's been super life changing.
So, for the people who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but GALvanize basically takes you and you get to go to like this kind of boot camp for 2 days, right?
Hmm.
And then you have this conference and you get assigned a player. And then you kind of get to do a one on one and interview that player and just hone your interviewing skills. Am I on the right track with how that
Yes,
works?
yes, you're in the ballpark. The first day though, it's just us. It's just us. We're in the hotel conference room. The first year I did it, I did Jacksonville, then I did Shrine Bowl. So it was virtual, but the when I did Dallas last year, we're all in a conference room together on the first day. You come as you are, sweats, hair tied, just you, authentically you. And you have to sit here and really dig deep and talk about like your life, talk about some of the things that you kind of went through and that have shaped you into who you are. And it's like a therapy session almost, but what Laura is teaching us is about vulnerability. I never knew how tough it was to be on the other side of the microphone until just recently when people such as yourself wanted me to talk about me and my life, but also too before being in Galvanize, where you had to sit there and really be vulnerable because Laura teaches us vulnerability begets vulnerability. How could I sit in front of a player and say, hey, tell me about your life, or tell me about this super dark time, or tell me about this stuff I just saw in the news? And I'm not willing to be personable with them. I'm not willing to sit and talk to them on a certain level, where we're chopping it up and you're seeing me for who I am, and then you allow me to see you for who you are. You can't do that, and you're not going to be successful in doing that. So, first day, Laura is putting us through the mental and emotional Olympics. But then the next day, we go and we meet up with the rookie class of whatever team. We're assigned a player, get to know them, introduce them to the room. And what we try to do is we try to really get to know that person and talk about things that, I'll say, the players might not know about each other just looking at each other or knowing each other's bios or seeing them in practices and workouts. We've had so many like breakthrough moments and moments where like we're all in the room like touched. You know what I'm saying? And I'll just talk about Trevor Lawrence because he's talked about it before publicly. But when I was talking about Trevor and I introduced him, he said, like, treat me like I'm normal. Treat me like I'm just like y'all. Don't treat me any differently. I mean, they're all NFL players, but we know Trevor Lawrence is like a future Hall of Famer. But he's like, I miss going to the grocery store and nobody recognizing who I am, or not having to walk out the back door of a restaurant because people are swarming me, stuff like that. And it's gone deeper than that in galvanized camps. So yeah, you're right in the ballpark, but I will say the most important part is Laura, really giving us the boot.
And it's something that you don't think of, right? You think that you can just go out there and ask questions and just, as long as your questions are crafted, as long as your research is good, then your delivery is going to be good. But there's so much more to an interview than just the research and the questions. And I think that people forget that. And that's something that's so important about what Laura does with Galvanize. So, what have those experiences with Laura and Galvanize meant to you in your career since those camps?
Oh,
You're like, "I'm gonna cry."
man, I love Laura. Laura is like really my career saver. I'm not even gonna lie. I was so close to, like, when I tell you I was like trying to figure out how to become a flight attendant. Your girl was like filling out applications for Delta and American. I was right there, and I was just kind of like, where do I go from here? I don't know what to do. But to be in a room of all those women, about 30 of us, talking about our lives, talking about our journeys, talking about, the things that we've had to endure while chasing the dream, knowing that there's space for all of us, and really just like building those lifelong friendships has really been so beneficial to my life and to my career. Laura, I mean, she's just such an amazing person. And she is so dedicated to this. She tells us all the time, Galvanize was created because this is what I wish I would have had when I was y'all's age. I wish I would have had a group of women, a group of people where I could go and, feel supported, be supported, and I didn't have that. And the way that she pours into all of us makes all of us feel loved, special, and important. As she would say, give us that hug and a push. I mean, has just paid dividends in my life and has changed my life. I mean, so much further beyond the reporting. I mean, she has really taught me that, number one, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Number two, you don't lose, you either win or you learn. Three, her husband said this, but everything that's going to happen in your life has already happened. So now enjoy it. Just enjoy life. And four, in knowing that there's more to life than just being a reporter or just, eventually getting that job or working that job. There's much more to life. And so, with all of those things, I think I've grown tremendously as a person, first and foremost, and then obviously as a reporter and journalist as well. But I owe so much to Galvanize. Like, I can't wait till I get big, big money and I can give back and have like the Pam Oliver HBCU student scholarship, similar to how y'all have the scholarship, and send my girlies off to camp or something because it's life changing for sure.
Yeah, my next question was gonna be what are your biggest takeaways, but your list right there, like, pretty much summed it up, I think.
Yeah.
It's so incredible that you've had this opportunity and that, it made such a difference in your life. I can see it on your face how important this is to you, which is all it's vulnerable, but it's also honest. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You can tell when somebody's faking about an experience, and this meant so much to you, and, I hope that I can do that soon because it sounds incredible.
Oh, girl,
But
you got to come, please. You got to come with us. We were in Nashville. I'd never been in. Well, I used to live there. My dad did a short stint with the Titans, but I don't remember. I was only a little kid. But going there, I mean, being with my like galvanized sisters, like for us to, like I said, go through the mental Olympics that whole day, mental emotional Olympics. Just kidding. It was a very insightful and amazing seminar. But we did get to the nitty gritty of a lot of different things. All the activities that we had, and then ending the night at the rooftop at Jason Aldean's, dancing and partying and having fun and enjoying each other. I mean, like, it was amazing. I definitely hope that you can go and you can experience it. We would
Yeah,
love to have you.
I would love to be there. And Broadway is wild if you've never been to Nashville. Like just
And have on some
wild.
walking shoes, please. Have
Yes,
on some
because
walking shoes for yourself, because baby,
you're not
okay.
even going to be walking up and down the street. You're going to be walking up and down stairs in every single building.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to spring this on you. This wasn't originally in the questions, but I saw a tweet a couple days ago about how you told the girls that you might have some rap skills and you were going to go back and
Oh,
and
oh.
record your rap verse. So tell us a little bit about that and how that came about.
Woo-wee. Okay, so one of our activities at the seminar towards the end was having a concert. So Campbell came and he did his own set, but we were all divided up into groups based off of our essays that we wrote prior to camp. She always does this. This is like kind of her tool to, how to say, just kind of, I guess maybe number one, show us that we're not alone in the things that we're dealing with, but it's always a common theme of like the people that are separated. So we were separated into 6 groups. I cannot remember the name and I do not like myself for it right now, but it was a combat veteran who came in, and he has like this organization where you pair like combat veterans and songwriters to kind of write songs, create songs to talk about their experiences and the things that they're going through. So we had songwriters, Golden West came through, and so we wrote a song, and I was like joking to Sam Rappaport, and I was like, yeah, I'll have a hot 16 on the track. And it was like, oh yeah, go ahead and do it for real. You're gonna rap for real. You're gonna do it for real. And I was like, oh my God. Like I was nervous because I mean, like, my older brother, he's heavily involved in music. He's super musically inclined. And so he has a business where he's a sound engineer, he's a songwriter. So, sometimes we like go back and forth and we have our own little ciphers in the house. Our little brother, he's like an amazing singer, but like it was never really that serious to us. My dad, he also is in music. He has a song with Sally Cell and a song with Destiny's Child. But like it's never like, to me it was, do you want to know what it never was? That serious. It was never that serious. So okay. I said that to Sam Rappaport, and then it's like, oh no, you gotta rap for real. So all right. I rap and I like make a little rap in my notebook, and then like I'm like over there writing it. Everybody's with Golden, like talking to Golden West, writing the song. I'm writing my little rap. They're like, rap it. So I rap it, and then everybody was like, are you for real? Like you really sounded so good. And so it was a surprise. I kind of just snatched the mic. Like actually, Sam Rappaport was standing in front of me. I had my mic like down behind her back. Then the second verse came. I rapped, and that was that. The Golden West, they are recording the song, and they actually asked me to drop my verse on it. So I think I will. I think I might head
You,
to my brother's to do it.
you have to. I mean, you're already used to holding a mic in your hands, right? Just turn it around the other way and then you've got it, right? And Angie in the chat said that Jason Aldean's bar is a blast and that also you have great stories, which I 100% agree with. Um,
I mean,
where
I was hoping
there it
that I
is.
wasn't coming on here, that like I I wasn't like rambling on or talking too much, because I know how to control it from the other side. But being on this side is like always like kind of different for me. Like talking about myself.
It is different, but this show is all about you. and we want to hear about your stories, and the way that you tell them is just so fun and so engaging that I don't want to look away. I don't want to put, you know, I don't want to put anything down. I want to hear every little crumb about it, and I definitely want to hear that song. I mean, I let me know when that drops. I will be
Well,
searching your Twitter for that.
well, I mean, I hope we chart.
Well, I'll be listening to it over and over again. Um, but guys in the chat, if y'all have any more questions for Ty, just drop them in there. We'll get them answered. We're close to the end of the show, so just make sure you get any questions in there that you have. But what have been some of the favorite moments of your career so far?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
You've had so many good ones. I don't know how you narrow it down. Just from what you told me on the show, you have so many good ones.
Highlight of my career. Oh wow, that's so hard. Mm, highlight. I definitely would have to just maybe say like just having my dad be able to watch me. I think that's so cool. I think that's so cool. I mean, my life, I grew up watching him. I literally remember him taking me to Universal Studios when he was on Sun Sports, which is now Fox Sports 1, and seeing him get his little makeup done. They were powdering up his bald head, and he would go and be on the show Gridiron Greats, and it had a University of Miami guy, a University of Florida guy, Mike Bianchi, and then my dad was the Florida State guy. Each week talk about football. And I mean, I think that was what really kind of made me want to really go for it and do what I'm doing. Just being able to have my mom and my dad watch me, my grandma Sue, for her to watch me. I mean, my cousins and my family that are overseas in Thailand, they see all the cool things that I'm doing, and it's like I'm like somebody they brag about. You know what I'm saying? I'm making them that proud that my family members are stopping in the Walmart or the Piggly Wiggly to show somebody what I'm doing. That's something that's so cool to me, and I just hope that I can continue to make them proud. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's really is what it's all about. I mean, and I'm just so grateful for all the love and support because people make me feel like I'm meant to be here and that I'm meant to be doing it. And I know that in my mind, but to have that reinforced is just such a great feeling. So, I mean, I would say that is definitely my highlight. And then also, too, shoot, I got to interview Angel McCoughtry. That was amazing. I mean, shoot, I love her. She was one of my favorite WNBA basketball players. My email used to be LIL Angel McCoughtry 13 at gmail.com. And like I got to interview her. That's crazy. And then I'm going to her movie premiere. That's crazy. I love that. I love
It's
it.
because you're meant to be there. You have worked so hard for everywhere that you have been and everywhere that you're going. And I can't wait for you to share more of your story with us and see you on the sidelines more and read more of your content. And I mean, guys, follow her on Twitter. She just put out another video talking about football, which is right around the corner. I mean, follow her. The content's wonderful, but um, we'll end it with this. So, since this show is called Her Story in the Making, where do you see your story continuing from here and into the future?
Wow. So I see myself really getting my foundation off the ground. The SOX Foundation is an acronym for Strengthening Our Community's Kids. Definitely plan on getting that off the ground. So if you guys see me post a link for some socks, please buy the socks. My goal is to actually be able to get the kids something for Christmas. So that's what I'm working towards. You'll see me get my first full-time job here pretty soon. Working in my career. You'll see me covering all these great, amazing sports matchups in the future. And then hopefully you'll see me accomplish my biggest dream of all dreams, which is getting married and having babies. But that's further along down the line. Then you'll see me go back to school, get my master's, and become a professor, and just continue to touch the next generation. So, those are my goals for now. but I have quite a lot. I have quite a lot.
Well, I have no doubt that you're going to attain all of them, and I very much look forward to seeing the next side by side picture of your journal entry and then the picture of when it happens, because I have no doubt you are going to the moon, my friend.
Oh, it's
Um,
coming, girl.
I can't wait to
It's
watch it
coming, girl.
happen.
You're right there with me.
Ugh,
You're
let's
right
go
there.
together.
Me and you are
Just
like this.
yes, I can't. I'm so bad at this. I don't even know what's happening. A little bit of dyslexia right there. But before we let you go, Ty, thank you again so much for coming on the show. And can you just let people know where they can find you and your work?
Yes, so you guys can always catch up with me, www.thaifloydonair.com. Ty A. Floyd, the A is for Ali. People think my name is Taya. It's Ty Ali. That's where the A comes from. I'm named after Muhammad Ali, the great. But yes, Ty A. Floyd on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and then I mean, shoot, if you want to add me on Facebook, Ty Ali Floyd.
Throwing out the Facebook out there. We still all use it. It's as
Oh
unfortunate as, as old as it makes me feel. Um,
yeah.
Facebook is still out there. Ty, thank you so much.
No,
Um,
thank you.
I really appreciate it. So,
Thank you so
guys,
much.
everybody watching, Her Story is on hiatus until September, but that's because we are shifting the spotlight to our sister show, the Women of Fantasy Football podcast with Faith Enos and Kelly Singh. This is all part of the Women of Fantasy Football's annual fundraising efforts for the Women of Fantasy Football and GALvanize Scholarship Fund. We spoke with Ty about her experiences in GALvanize, and that's what that scholarship fund is for, so that we can help send somebody there so that they can have the same experiences. Be sure that you're following Women of Fantasy Football on Twitter and Instagram at women of underscore FF. And you can find more information about Women of Fantasy Football and the GALvanize partnership at womenoffantasyfootball.com. The raffle items for the fundraiser and the guests for the event will be announced in the coming weeks, with the first episode airing on August 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate you guys listening to Ty's story, for Ty for being here and sharing her experiences. And we will see you guys in the coming months.